Good afternoon, and welcome to everyone joining us for today's special webinar presentation by PCLaw Time Matters and our cloud software partner, Leap Legal Software, as we cover the 11 habits of successful law firms updated for the digital age. My name is Cameron Grooms. I am the VP of Marketing for PCLaw Time Matters, and I will be your host for today's webinar session. We'll be joined today by Amy McArthur, Senior Vice President of Commercial Strategy for PCLaw Time Matters, and Tessa Molnar, Business Development Manager for Leap Legal Software US. After today's presentation, we will be joined by Chris Stock, CEO of PCLaw Time Matters, and Peter Baberstock, CEO of Leap Legal Software US for a Q&A. All of our attendees will be in listen-only mode for the duration of our presentation. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them via the questions pane located on your webinar control panel, and we will answer your questions at the end of this presentation. Also, please refer to the handout section on the webinar control panel, where you can download your copy of the 11 Habits PDF, a checklist of the 11 habits, and contact information for our presenters from today's presentation. Please note that we are recording today's webinar, and all attendees will receive an email tomorrow with a link to the recording of today's presentation for your future reference. And one final note, I'm sure you can note by my background, we are still currently working from home, so please, we appreciate your patience in case of any unforeseen disruptions occur. Today, we have two legal software companies coming together to share their insights and experiences in order to help law firms such as yours become more successful by implementing these best business practices for the digital age. PCLaw and Time Matters were joined together a year ago this month as part of a joint venture between LexisNexis and Leap. LexisNexis chose to partner with Leap because it is the only cloud practice management solution that can accommodate the unique configurations that law firms require today. Leap provides the same robust capabilities that PCLaw and Time Matters customers have grown accustomed to and is able to provide the same depth of functionality. And something else that our two companies have in common is Richard Hugo Hammond, Executive Chairman of both PCLaw Time Matters and Leap Legal Software. And that is what brings us all together here today. Richard Hugo Hammond recently updated and published the 11 Habits of Successful Law Firms Updated for the Digital Age. These 11 habits aren't new, but have been renewed for the current times that we are living in due to COVID-19. I'm going to share these 11 habits with you now. Please note that our presenters will only be covering the 4 most important habits from this list and will be presented not in the order of the PDF, but in order of the importance in today's current business climate. The practice of law changed almost overnight in March, with in-person meetings, court hearings, and work environments being replaced with online technology. What's changed with the pandemic isn't working from home, because we know this is going to be short-lived, but it's working digitally. Knowing what you know now, what do you think you could have done differently to better strengthen your law firm and how you operate your business? None of us know what the future holds, but now is the time to implement these best business practices for the digital age, and it should be a top priority. Now, please help me in welcoming our presenters for today's webinar, Amy McArthur and Tessa Molnar, as they discuss the 4 most important habits to focus on today.
Thanks, Cameron.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hey,
Tessa,
Amy.
you made me nervous. Oh no, she's not coming.
How's it going?
Good.
Good. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me today. Just to introduce myself quickly to your clients. Hello, I'm Tessa. I've been with Leap for about 2 years now, and I work in Leap sales as a business development manager. And I love my job. I love what I do. And part of what makes my role so interesting is that it's highly consultative, meaning I don't just sell software, I get to help attorneys improve their businesses. So Amy, would it be fair to say that I was invited here today to share some of my case studies or reports from the ground?
Yeah, I always say you have the feet on the street.
Yeah, Amy, thanks. And I've really seen it all, from tech-obsessed firms who want to record time on their Apple Watches to firms who are still using typewriters and DOS. So, of course, I'm going to be biased in favor of Leap, as that's what I know, but I'm going to try to stay as product agnostic as possible and share some of my insight from the industry.
Yeah, and I think you really do have a unique perspective being in the tri-state area. Not only was your area hit the hardest with COVID, but the condensed population gives you the opportunity to access a lot of firms all in one area.
Yeah, so I'm really excited to present today. Should we dive right in and begin with arguably the most important habit?
Yeah, and I
Make
will say, yeah, efficiency. It seems like a no-brainer. But efficiency is the topic that we're going to handle first, and it was the first habit actually from the list. And here's why it's so important now. Over the past few months, schedules are off track. We've had to balance work and home and sometimes overwhelming pressures of the turmoil that's in the world today. Richard speaks about time being your stock. I love when he says that time is your stock. To
Mhm.
me, it's not just time management. So I don't know if you know Adam Grant. He's a well-known organizational psychologist. He wrote The Originals and Give and Take. And he wrote an article for the New York Times. And he stated basically that a better option is attention management, prioritizing the people and the projects that matter, and it won't matter how long anything takes. So, attention management is the art of focusing on getting things done for the right reasons, in the right places, and at the right moments. And I think that's what Richard is talking about. It's not really about managing your time as much as it's prioritizing your time. So, I would ask attorneys, how do you prioritize your time? As business owners, how do you prioritize your time? Because it's different, right? Are the right people working on the right priorities?
Mhm. I think that's a really great point, Amy. Time prioritization over time management. Prioritization is a conscious decision, which ties in perfectly with the idea of deciding to be efficient. So, what actionable steps can anyone take? The first step is to find out where you're currently spending your time. You need to have an accurate record so that you can make informed decisions about your business and recognize where you need to improve. So this means that even firms who don't bill hourly should still be tracking their time. The most successful firms I've met with already know, or at least are striving to know, where they're spending their time.
Yeah, and I think the key word there is probably successful, because I've met many firms that don't keep time because they have alternative billing arrangements. So what you're saying is spot on. Strategically, it's still really important to know where you spend your time and to track it.
Exactly. And in theory, everyone can understand that having an accurate record is important, whether it's for productivity or for billing. So, why aren't all firms keeping perfect, accurate records of where they're spending their time? And it's really simple. It's because they don't have an easy way of doing so. And inefficient time capture creates a lose-lose situation. Any time spent on administrative work is time not spent on revenue generating work. But at the same time, not spending time on that administrative work loses you valuable business insight. And from what I've seen, successful firms aren't tolerating this lose-lose situation. They're actively seeking out solutions.
Yeah, and Tessa, there may be some attendees that still believe that maybe business will return to normal, right, to the pre-COVID normal at some point. And I think it's worth bringing up something that we've discussed a few times, that even before COVID, the market was changing. So I think Thomson Reuters was actually the first to publish that lawyers are no longer in control of their rates. They say that the digital world has really impacted the competition landscape of law. So clients are shopping around. It's basically having access to the internet, right? They can do online service tools like Rocket Lawyer, or they can use attorney finder sites like Avo or LawTab.
Yeah, I was rereading that report the other day too. And interestingly, the areas of law that saw the most growth in terms of demand were the general areas. But almost paradoxically, however, despite this increased demand, general practices can't expect to passively bring in new business. The market is so saturated right now with general practice attorneys that there's more competition than ever before. So the ball's really in the client's court. And clients now more than ever want client-centric services, which
Mhm.
I know we're going to talk about later, but all legal clients have the same basic expectation of their representation, that their work be completed efficiently and competently. So I would really say inefficient firms can't expect to survive in this client-centric market especially now with the onset of COVID-19. And this pandemic has taken existing problems and inefficiencies and put them under the microscope.
Yeah, I agree. Firms that don't leverage technology to drive efficiency, they're not going to be able to serve their clients as effectively, and they're likely to lose business from firms that are investing in the right technologies.
And these trends seem to be pretty straightforward. More efficient businesses with better technology will fare better over the competition. And, there is an old adage that might resonate with some of our attendees. Sometimes attorneys can be great at practicing law, but not so great at running businesses. And, so tell me, Amy, how does time prioritization and time tracking, like we were discussing before, relate to this? Or maybe more specifically, how does it help firm owners be better business people?
Well, actually, Richard in the article talks about that. He says you need to spend at least 20% of your week on the business side. In small firms, attorneys wear many hats. So I always like to remind them of the benefits that they gain from being efficient. I've helped more than a few attorneys carve out that time that they need just to dedicate that 20%, their Friday, basically, to manage their practice. And it's really tracking time contemporaneously.
hmm And I also want to point out that having the room to be more efficient doesn't mean that you're bad at managing your time, or that you're not disciplined, or that you're bad at running your business. Sometimes it's a matter of the tools that you're using to do your work rather than how you're using the tools.
hmm
You know, to give an analogy, you're going to cut down a tree a lot faster with an axe than with a pocket knife. And that's really what Amy and I both help with, is helping attorneys find and utilize the right tools.
Yeah, and it's perfect segue into our next habit, which is um, work smart. Don't duplicate your work, right? I know we've already talked about the time entry, but I would argue that it's the biggest offender of duplicate work. So I was visiting one of our firms actually in South Carolina. It was a few
Mhm.
months ago. The attorney keeps a notebook next to him, and he handwrites as he's doing his work. But it gets worse. So he handwrites it, and then he types it into an email to his secretary at the end of every week, sends it to the secretary. The secretary then retypes the email into PCLaw. So he has the tools, he's just not using them.
Oh my God. And I have seen that time and time again. And I've even had multiple clients tell me that they spend the last day of the month sitting with their Verizon bills, going through and trying to figure out how much to bill their clients for phone calls.
Yeah, and the easiest way to contemporaneously track your time with Time Matters or PCLaw is to set up the automate the creation of the time entry, right? You can do that on tasks like documents and emails. I know the topic is to choose to be efficient, but sometimes it's hard to get everyone to choose, so automating it works too.
hmm Exactly. And to build on that, I would say that deliberate doesn't have to mean difficult. Choosing to use software is part of the decision to be more efficient.
hmm
So just to share with Leap, you have the option to time save and close on documents. A similar feature exists on emails, file notes, phone calls, where the same click that saves your document actually generates the time entry. And there's also no starting or stopping a timer involved. So it's truly effortless to do. And, of course, I'm biased in favor of Leap specific functionality. But the concept is really the same no matter the software. Having the right tools to conveniently track your time without creating extra work for yourself. And the return can be pretty enormous. I know of one firm where they capture all of their time, even on their contingency work, just because it's so easy to do. And they found out that they're making about $1,200 an hour on that work.
That's awesome. Yeah, and
Mhm.
another really important consideration, which was on the slide, is document preparation. So, how often are you retyping information on a case? Time Matters and PC Law both have the built-in template creation tools to help you link the fields to documents, so you only have to enter that information once.
Yes, you want your documents to be automated such that they're self-populating. So in a single click, you have a perfectly formatted form or letter instantly. And this simple operation will save you and your staff hours of time each month.
Yeah, and Tessa, in the 11 habits, Richard lists document production actually as one of the top concerns for firms. But I'm sure you found many firms who aren't using automated forms and instead are still copying and pasting from previous versions. So from what you've seen, what are the advantages that have swayed successful firms to really embrace automation?
hmm Yeah, there are a couple of things. So first, it's reducing the risk of error from copying and pasting, such as forgetting to change a name or address. In a worst case scenario, the court sends your document back then, or even if it's not a big deal, it's still kind of embarrassing and portrays a certain level of a lack of professionalism. The next, you know, great advantage is that your formatting is instantly perfect. So it's going to save you a lot of that hassle on the administrative end or your staff, whoever's creating the forms. I think we've all experienced trying to copy and paste something, and then you make that one little change, and all of a sudden, everything's too far to the left.
Yeah. And Tessa, I know you don't want to talk much about LEAP, but LEAP actually comes with certain forms, right? Depending on jurisdiction.
Yeah, so we do have a library of over 8,000 self-populating form and letter templates, and these are available to our clients in a lot of our regions, depending on the practice area. But we are continuing to develop our content in our new regions, such as some of the southern states. But we already have extensive libraries for New York, New Jersey, and New England. And what's really great about these is that they're also kept up to date in accordance with the courts, meaning you always have the latest versions. But with LEAP, just like with Time Matters, or I guess PCLaw too, you can import your own existing forms and automate them, and we'll actually teach you how to do that. It's really simple and doesn't require any special degree of tech savviness.
So the big takeaway is just that you should automate, right?
Yes, exactly.
Perfect. Which brings us into our next habit, which is habit 2 in the ebook. We have already touched on some efficiencies that can be gained through technology and really where Time Matters, PCLaw, and LEAP shine in relation to automation. But Richard states in the ebook that technology is now essential.
hmm Yeah, and before we get too far along into that, Amy, I do want to interject here and say that it's never too late to be an early adopter. For example, it's a running joke that lawyers are solely responsible for keeping word perfect in business.
I've heard that.
Yeah, yep. And everyone else in the business world switched to Microsoft Word years ago. But we have a firm in New York who, a 10-person firm, and they switched entirely from WordPerfect to Word, and they had to convert over 2,000 documents to do so. But now all of their templates are automated. So I just want to make sure that no one who's joined us today is going to feel alienated by the habit of early adoption or that it can't apply to them.
Yeah, it's a great point. And again, it is all about priorities. So which tool is going to give you the highest return? So what Richard says is consider this. Bookkeeping is typically done by one or two, usually non-billable people in a small firm, but revenue is generated by lawyers. So I've spent over a decade helping firms implement practice management systems. And I think Richard is right when he says that most lawyers think that the need to have is the billing system. I would argue, not even argue, but I think about 65% of the leads that we get in related to PCLaw and Time Matters is looking for billing.
Mhm,
And it's important. Firms need to get paid.
mhm,
But Richard's argument is that improving the legal work efficiencies are going to free up more time for the attorneys to bill more hours, right? They can work more, they can bill more. So improving billing efficiencies alone doesn't directly translate to revenue.
mhm. And while that's true, I do want to relate an efficiency gain like a more effective billing process to something that Richard brings up in habit 6, that it's important to take care of yourself. So
Yeah.
sometimes the value of the time saved is more of an investment in a better work-life balance rather than revenue generation. I've spoken to a lot of attorneys at small firms who spent the last Saturday of each month going into work just to get their bills out. And that time could have been freed up to spend with family, friends, or even doing leisure activities. And as we all know, having the right work-life balance is indispensable for being effective at your job. So I absolutely love when I go into a firm and the first thing they tell me is that they want to play golf twice a week. Perfect.
Yeah,
I
that's
love
probably the biggest blessing from the pandemic. Not golf, although courses in North Carolina never closed, uh,
that.
but document production, because the legal industry, which is steeped in tradition, like Cameron mentioned, the process for document production was really turned on its head overnight. Um,
Mhm,
so when you look at the life cycle of a document, the work
mhm,
requires a lot of face-to-face meetings, pen to paper. And I've been to many firms where office rooms are actually overtaken by filing cabinets for storing documents. People's offices look like closets. Attorneys lug
mhm.
those documents in briefcases to court, and God forbid they bring the wrong document or accidentally drop the document, right?
Yeah, and this actually happens to me with a visit to a firm once. The managing partner told me he was using a crate to bring his paper files to court with him. This firm, they weren't electronically filing their emails, they were printing out all of them and putting them in physical folders. And that, you know, um, there's no reason to have to live like that. You can do all of that digitally, but still maintain that accurate paper trail that we know the profession of law demands.
Yeah, and you and I joked about this because even my description of the life cycle of a document seemed foreign to you. So if you were going to imagine like an ideal document process
Mhm.
or a document life cycle, how would you describe it?
Yeah, I feel like you've really turned the tables on me. Usually I'm the one asking, but I could make anything easier and, give me your ideal if I could wave a magic wand and give it to you. But let's see. So, all right, imagine going all the way to the beginning. Imagine you've sent out some sort of intake form to your client for them to fill out and send back to you. In a really ideal situation, all of that information, you're not going to have to type that into your case management system. It's going to merge through automatically. And I think Amy and I really honed down on the importance of automation. So when you actually do create that document, it's going to auto populate. Ideally, the gold standard would be that it populates without you having to do much manual data entry. Then if you want to make changes to the document, you're able to pull it up on any device. So if you're sitting at home and you remember a line you want to add, you can pull it up on your phone or your iPad, open it in Word, and have that peace of mind that all of your changes are saving in real time. If you want to share it, ideally you're going to be able to do that through a secure portal. So no more having to send emails out with sensitive materials or going through the headache of sending an encrypted email. And then e-signatures have become huge as of late. For example, me personally, I'm 3 miles outside of Manhattan. I have no desire to see anyone face to face. But you can also even do them in a lot of states now, e-notarizations. And as long as you can Zoom, FaceTime, or otherwise video chat with a client and record it, you can do a fully remote notarization now. So again, going back to how this ties into the life cycle, you're sharing this document with a client via a secure portal. They're able to e-sign it. You have a video chat up, your clients.
It's notarized.
Yeah, exactly. And then you have to save that recording, at least in New Jersey, for 10 years. I think that's the same in most states. So you want then everything to save right back to your practice management, the recording of the video, and the signed document itself. So 5 years later, when you're sitting at home and your client calls you up asking if you can resend that signed document, you just pull it up right from your phone and email it out.
Yeah, that sounds effortless.
Yeah, it kind of is.
Yeah, and it's really not too far off from what we're seeing, right, in the digital world now.
Yep.
So, I guess it really brings up the elephant in the room. The digital world, right, is synonymous with cloud. So, Tessa, you and I both know that Leap has been a pioneer in the cloud legal practice management space. I believe the last number was it 14,000 law firms maybe transitioned to cloud, maybe worldwide. And
Mhm.
um, I'm grateful to be able to leverage your expertise in this area. And I want to be clear, like Leap has invested in PCLaw and Time Matters, so we are not going away. But it's going to take us time to develop the level of flexibility that Leap has mastered. So what I would like to do instead is to really ask you if you would present a list of, maybe a checklist of items that firms should look for in a cloud solution when they're evaluating tools that are available for these kinds of things. You know, what are the pitfalls to be aware of?
Yeah, definitely. I would love to do so. And then just quickly, I know cloud has become such a hot topic because it facilitates, working from anywhere. Do you want me to give a quick definition of what the cloud actually means, or?
Yeah, that does. It always, it's confusing to people. So yes, that'd be
Yeah,
great.
definitely. So the cloud refers to a network of internet-based servers that are located remotely. It's basically the alternative to an in-house server. And I could do a whole webinar on the advantages of the cloud, but like I said, the reason it's become a hot topic for lawyers specifically is because cloud data can be accessed from anywhere in the world.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Perfect, yeah. So going into our checklist, I wanted to break it down into two types of considerations: technical considerations and service-based considerations. On the technical side, your first consideration should be accessibility. Can you work on offline with the software, or are you fully dependent on your internet connection? That's especially important to think about because most cloud-based providers are fully browser-based. So you'll be bumped off if you temporarily lose Wi-Fi. And as everyone's working from home now and your kids are attending school on Zoom, your Wi-Fi is taking more of a strain than usual. Next, I'd say look at where you can actually access the device or the program. So can you access it from your phone? Can you access it from your iPad? That's one of the greatest advantages of cloud technology, is really enabling that multi-device accessibility. And so you also want to think about what can be done from there. Is it just time recording that you can do from your phone, or can you actually pull up and edit and access documents, scan, things like that? Next, ask about the type of cloud technology that's being utilized. Is it true cloud-based software, or is it server-based software in a terminal server or hosted cloud environment? And I know those are kind of complicated techie terms, but the easiest way to tell is that cloud-based softwares integrate with other cloud-based softwares or applications like Office 3 or Microsoft 365, excuse me, QuickBooks Online, etc. And then you also want to know what the software's capabilities are. And this one's a little bit of a no-brainer, but things to think about is document management built in, or do you have to sync Dropbox or OneDrive with the program? And can you fully eliminate your server? If you want to see any sort of cost savings in terms of your IT setup, cloud-based software can really empower that. So you want to make sure that it can do everything that your server-based software was doing. And then with eliminating your server, data security is going to be one of your primary concerns. Cloud-based software.
Yeah, I was just going to say that that's a really good point, because that's often misunderstood. People worry about the data security.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the advantages small businesses see especially is that they can take advantage of really strong commercial grade security without having to spend, the millions of dollars of investment that no small firm has the capital to provide by using cloud technology. You do just want to be sure that your data at the end of the day is always your own, and that your data is not going to be able to be held hostage from you. And then we'll go into storage, which will be a nice segue into the service-based consideration. You just want to make sure that you do get unlimited storage, so that it's not like each month you're going to be charged more and more because you're running out of space. And then that does bring us fully into the service considerations. And the first one to consider is, how is your new provider going to handle the change event? How are you getting implemented? How are they going to transition your data over? And I don't know if we should speak a little bit about the relationship Leap has with PCLaw and Time Matters.
Yeah, I think the relationship is important because you're really enabled because we have a working relationship on our tech side. So if they run into issues, we can work together. So I think it's important just to check on the relationship that whatever company you're working with in relation to where you're coming from.
And that's also part of why we were chosen as the preferred cloud partner. Even before we were in this business relationship, we had the proven experience and capabilities of transitioning data over from legacy systems. So we offer over 40 transitions, but of course our PCLaw and Time Matters ones are really tight. So then next, that brings us to the configuration and training. Is someone going to teach you how to use the software, and is someone going to set it up for you? Or are you going to be on your own, having to take time out of your busy working day to link the new software up with Outlook and with Microsoft Word? Or is someone who's a tech expert going to do that for you? And then what happens when you're using the software? Is there support? If you have a question, are you stuck on your own, or do you have someone you can contact? And where's the help desk located, and what's their average response time? Are you going to be on hold for an hour, or can you get through to someone right away? And then finally, I think a really good consideration to ask about is the provider's client retention rates. Do users of the software stay with the program for a long time, or are firms trying it out for a month or two before moving on?
Yeah, I think that all of this information is actually really valuable. I would suggest that attendees maybe print this off and use it for any technologies that they may be evaluating. And we talked about time entry and documents, but really even going back to the biggest change in the legal market, it's going to be that clients are in control. So technology related to that as well. The internet has provided greater choice for legal providers, and firms have to get the must-dos right. And one of those must-dos is client experience. It's habit 10 in the ebook, and according to research, 86% of buyers are willing to pay more for great customer experience. And the reverse of that is that 32% are willing to walk away from even one poor experience or bad experience. So what's important, right? What do clients want? Clients want speed and convenience and answers. I would say instant is expected in a digital world. So how
Mm-hmm.
quickly are you able to respond to client requests? Do clients have access to information? Or do they have to call and maybe leave a message, wait for a call back to get answers to their questions? When they do call, are they provided accurate information?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly. And that's really it, Amy. Clients want easy, hassle-free service. And at the risk of sounding harsh, I think it's soon going to be hard to justify for firms not offering clients that convenience that they're looking for. There's so many easy and cost-effective ways to offer a better client experience.
Yeah. And I think it's worth mapping the customer experience based on touch points. We call them engagements, and really thinking through how you can build a positive experience in each area. In the digital world, the face-to-face connection is limited. In New Jersey, it's non-existent, right? You say, I don't want to see anybody.
Nope.
But we we need to be intentional about the experience we want our clients to have.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. And while most of what we're going to focus on are these specific online services firms can offer their clients, there are three quick considerations I want to bring up first. They have little to do with practice management, but everything to do with the professionalism you want to convey to your clients. First, your phone systems. You should consider switching to a voice over IP phone system. VoIP phones run over the internet rather than telephone lines, meaning you're not tethered to your office. Every single client, when they call your firm, they're going to want to have the ability to be put through to you. Even if you're not available, they want to know that it's there. The last thing anyone wants to hear is, he is working from home, but I can send an email on your behalf. Next, get a professional email address. Using an AOL, Gmail, or Yahoo email address conveys a lack of professionalism. It also is dangerous. It makes you and your clients more susceptible to scamming. And it's so cheap to get a professional email address now that there's really no excuse not to do it. And then finally, have a professional website. Your website is your client's first impression of your business, so you need to think of it as an extension of your firm. If your website looks like it hasn't been updated since 2006, visitors are going to think you haven't won a case since 2006. And I don't say that to be harsh, I say it to be helpful. The only real important considerations for you to take into account are, one, making it clean and modern. If it looks like it was updated in the last few years, you're good, easy to read, and you want it to be mobile optimized, because that is where people are searching for attorneys. It's Mrs. Jones sitting at home on her couch, looking for a divorce attorney in my area because she's sick of being quarantined with her husband. But jokes aside, though, I am being very serious about that. That is how people are looking for things right now. It's not just my generation. I'll go visit my parents, and they're sitting on the couch with their reading glasses on and their phones in their hands. I don't think I've ever seen them on an actual computer anymore. So mobile optimization is key.
Yeah, and along with the website, it's not just about first impressions. You can use the website to enhance your ongoing services with your clients. So Tessa, I know there's a lot of web applications that firms can work with. It's actually something that Leap does really well. So if you would just take us through a few quick wins that they can achieve by better leveraging their website.
Yeah, definitely. So, I think we've discussed at length that clients want their services to be focused on them. And we've seen doctors' offices embracing this technology for years, So I'll walk you through some of the features that Leap's web portal or client service portal offers. And we'll go through there. So to start, online appointment booking. I think this one's coming up more and more, especially as your meetings with your clients are taking place remotely. So it really makes sense, right? Why should I have to call to schedule an online appointment with you? Why can't I just book it online? So we integrate with LawTap. It's kind of like ZocDoc, but for attorneys. It's really cool though. It integrates right with your calendar. And Amy, like when you go to the hairdresser and they send you text messages to remind you of your appointment, please confirm.
Yeah.
LawTap will do that too for you. At the very least, though, you need to have an easy way for clients or potential clients to make an inquiry. So if someone wants information, they want to be able to just fill it out right there and then just get that automated email saying someone will be in touch soon. It makes them feel like they've done the work of finding an attorney. Yeah, I think we'll go into then next. We have provide information. For some states, we do offer automated electronic intake forms, kind of like what I was talking about in the life cycle of a document. But I really want to focus on read your documents. And before we go fully into the portal for read your documents, I want to actually toggle back over into Leap and show you what it looks like on the attorney end. So you'll see that these two documents here, they're tagged. One says shared and the other one says signable. And this is how the Law Connect integration works. It's kind of like Dropbox for attorneys. So you can securely share documents, request e-signatures, and it meets the ABA security compliance standards. So it's a really convenient way for not only your clients, but maybe if you're doing personal injury work, your adjuster to view documents. So this is what it looks like to the law client. They'll be able to see what's recently been shared. And if they have multiple cases with you, they'll be able to see them all here. So in this divorce matter, here are all of the documents I've shared. Your client can view it, they can download it, they can make a comment. And then here's our signature request. So this is just a super simple integration with DocuSign. Your client's going to be able to open this up and electronically sign their document. And like I said before, with remote notarizations, this is fully acceptable. You just have to be on a video call like how Amy and I are right now, record it, So it needs to be seen that your client's the one actually signing it. And then you'll save it right back into your matter. So when I actually go and sign this document and hit finish, the signed document will save here on the client's end and against the matter in Leap. So you have that permanent ongoing record of it effortlessly.
That's awesome. Even going through that takes me back to that document lifecycle because it's exactly what you were talking about, right? And technology is an enabler of a great customer experience, but ultimately it's up to the people to provide it, right? So it must be the responsibility of every employee to ensure a premium level of service. In habit 4, Richard actually speaks about hiring smart people and treating them well. I think I'm just going to read off his checklist because it's perfect. It's organize regular training for your staff, recruit the very best people you can afford, and encourage staff to take on more responsibility. I would also say reward them for that responsibility.
Yeah.
And I think it's safe to say that we've saved the best for last. Habit number 7 in the ebook. It's confront the challenges of getting paid. And as we've discussed, many attorneys struggle with this. Often it's reactive, due to the stress of worrying about making payroll. There's some specific actions that firms can implement to improve cash flow and avoid the challenges of getting paid, along with all of the proactive steps that we've talked through. There was one point I thought that was worth separating from the rest. And as much as we've spoken about the client experience and building relationships in billing, it's actually important to balance the procedures and the process with the people. So how often, are you adding discretionary discounts on invoices or allowing clients to slide by without payments due to the relationship? So if you can try and depersonalize the billing process and follow it to a T, your clients will know that they need to pay and they have to pay the full amount. They'll expect that. It's about setting expectations, right? And they'll know how much and when it's due. So going straight into the steps, be upfront and consistent with billing and statements of work. When you set agreed upon expectations, clients are more likely to stick to their commitments. So when possible, set up monthly payment arrangements, put it in place from the start. Ensure that you follow the retainer agreements. If you start going off the agreement, get a new statement of work. Budget correctly and set retainers whenever possible. Get a deposit from your clients. Ideally, you want enough sufficient to cover the next 30 days. And I think we've talked about this. You want to record your billable time contemporaneously. Don't operate under the illusion that work in progress is income. It needs to be billed. You need to bill regularly. Clients don't like surprises. So bill in regular small amounts, and it'll ensure that the debt never gets out of hand.
And you're also going to make yourself miserable by not recording your time as you go. If you're the type who is then going through their inbox to try to figure out how to bill for emails, that's not an effective use of your time. And you're not going to enjoy doing that. And there's a lot of ways to eliminate that painstaking work.
Yeah, and then the last one, which I think you have a video for as well, is accepting payments options, so payments online.
Yeah, absolutely. And normally I would show something like this in real time, but I'm back in Law Connect here, sharing a statement of account. So you can share billing information like this too. I did pre-record this just with working from home. So here your client can see how much money they owe. They can pay it in full. And this is our LawPay integration. It's a really common credit card service for law firms. It's really convenient here for your clients. So they clicked that pay in full, they put in their details, and they hit submit payment. Now, this payment is actually receipted on your client's ledger back in Leap, so you don't even have to do any of the manual bookkeeping work. And back here, something that comes up a lot is that clients seem to want sort of like an ongoing list of, the payments that you've charged them and what they've paid, sort of like a credit card statement. So with this Law Connect integration, you're able to give your clients that, so they always know exactly how much they owe. And I'm again toggling back into Leap, and I want to talk about again, it's all about making it easy for your clients to pay. So I'm going to just pull up this invoice I already have drafted here. And the first thing we'll do is we're just going to change the status over from draft to finalized. And, just so everyone knows what they're looking at, here you have your fee descriptions, your disbursements. I want to talk about our email template. Again, this is part of our LawPay integration. So what your client would receive then is the email I'm about to show you, and there will be a PDF attachment of their actual itemized invoice. But I love this though, because there's a big green click to pay button that your clients cannot miss. And so not only though is this going out when you send your invoices, these reminders with that same click to pay button can go out before the invoice is due, the day it's due, and if it's still not paid, after it's due. So your AR is no longer needing to be chased. It's automated, and it's a much easier process for you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for taking us through that. And just going back to the final step, if none of that works and they're still not paying you, stop working, right? Don't continue to work on things that you're not going to get paid for.
Yeah,
and I think that really rounds up the 4 habits that we chose for this time. And I guess just to make sure that everybody has clear steps, make the choice to be efficient, prioritize managing your business. If you're a managing partner, don't duplicate work, specifically time entries, document production. It's never too late to be an early adopter of technology, right? The market has changed. So we want to adopt technology that's going to enable us to perform in a digital world. Document management is going to give you the most efficiency right now, but client experience will help you gain and retain customers. So track your time contemporaneously in case you didn't hear that the first 15 times. Bill it regularly, and if you don't get paid, quit working. And Cameron, I think with that, we're back to you.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Tessa and Amy, for that wonderful presentation and great conversation. Before we get to the Q&A, I just want to give a quick reminder to all of our attendees that you can download the 11 Habits PDF, the 11 Habits checklist, and the contact information for our presenters in the handout section on the webinar control panel. Now, I would like to introduce you all to Chris Stock, CEO of PCLaw Time Matters, and Peter Baverstock, CEO of Leap Legal Software US for a Q&A.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Afternoon. Thank you for having us, Cameron.
Hi, Chris.
Thank you. Pete. Thanks very much for having us. I'm looking forward to the conversations.
Absolutely. So we've had a few questions come in during the presentation. So just to be sensitive to the time, let's go ahead and dive in. So number one, so this is a good question for both of you. What are your companies doing to provide a better client experience during these times?
I think that's an interesting one, and definitely for both of us. Chris, are you okay if I just jump in?
Absolutely, after you.
Superb. Well, obviously, from the last 4 months' point of view, it's a lot about working from home from a Leap client perspective, right? We spent a lot of time making sure that our client base can actually make the switch to working from home very easy. Obviously, we've been an advocate of that for many years now, that you can actually work from anywhere. But the first 4 months was working on making sure that our client base can actually work from home and continue working as if they were in the office. I mean, I think innovation is at the heart of everything that Leap does. I think it's one of our key things our dev team live by, that they're agile enough to make sure that they're developing software that's needed for the current time. Such things as Microsoft Teams integration and Tessa was talking about Zoom integration earlier, are both key product releases that have gone out in the last 4 months from our dev team that are helping firms work collaboratively while they're working from home. But now we're in that period that hopefully we're starting to get to a point where we can start working from not only home but actually working from an office again. We're looking at making sure that our client experiences are actually round enough to make sure that the clients can work from home, they can work from their office, they can work from on their mobile, they can work from their iPad, whatever they need to work from. So it's just being innovative and making sure that our products are up to date and meeting the needs of the requirements of our clients at that particular time. Would that be about the same as you, Chris?
Yeah, we've had a slightly different focus, and one of the PT focuses really is on helping our customers with the business of law. So obviously we've got a on-premise software which has some different needs from a customer base as opposed to cloud software. So we really took it from two positions. The first one was a practical guide on what businesses could do to really insulate themselves against COVID. And those practical pieces of advice were things that ranged from how to set up LogMeIn quickly so that you could still work from home even though you're using an on-premise solution, forming partnerships with external providers who could very quickly set you up with a home office, and also things like how to apply for PPP loans, information on the CARES Act so that you could insulate your business financially. We also shared what we did as a business and gave some practical advice on how we adapted our strategy and how law firms could do the same thing. At the same time that we did start working on and fast track some software enhancements that would allow a lot of working from home to become a lot easier from an on-premise product. So updating our mobile applications, also updating our web portal that talks back to on-premise servers. And we also took the time to release our integrated e-filing that's able to be accessed in Time Matters through our partner InfoTrack. And we really understood that COVID was going to change the legal landscape, and we could see that people weren't going to be going into court to file documents as frequently as they previously have. And we don't know if that's ever going to return to normal, because the efficiencies that come with e-filing really should and are likely to be long-term efficiencies for everybody, not just lawyers, courts, clients, everybody. So that's now been released to the client base so that our clients can file documents online without going into courts directly from the software. Our engineers also understood, as we do as a business, that at the end of this, there is likely to be a lot more interest in cloud software. And with Leap as our exclusive data migration partner, we really started working on much more deep refinements on Leap's data migration from PCLaw and Time Matters to Leap, because ultimately, because we care about the business of law, we care about providing our clients with the right recommendations for their business. And we understand that that recommendation may very well be that a cloud environment is the best course of action for their firm to take. And we really ramped up the cooperation with Leap when it came to enhancing their data migration, data transition path.
Yeah, those were some great answers, and I think now more than ever, client experience is a top priority for us all right now. Let's see. So I have another question here. So we saw a lot of Leap in the presentation, and Chris, I think this is one for you. What is Time Matters working on?
Yeah, there are a number of things that are either recently released or very close to being released. The first one, as I mentioned, was e-filing. And with the vastly changing landscape, we felt that e-filing through our partner InfoTrack was a very important piece of functionality to have released in the market. The next one was a LawTap integration, and LawTap was alluded to during the presentation. And I think Tessa did a very, very good job of explaining what LawTap does. And really we understand that in a world that's vastly becoming an online world, the ability to manage your appointment bookings for new clients and also for current clients directly online with minimal interaction makes sense, considering that your meeting's most likely going to be online with them as well. So the LawTap integration is very close to release. We expect it to start being rolled out within the next week or two. We've also added calendaring for Time Matters Go. We recognize that the Time Matters and PCLaw customer bases do have slightly different purposes for what they might use the products for. And the Time Matters calendaring in Go is due for release in the coming weeks as well. We also spent some time re-rolling out a previous release of what was effectively a mobile application that was written in the web, so that firms could more easily access their information and record time through a browser at home. And at the same time, in the background, we've been working on additional new versions of Time Matters and PCLaw with some stability fixes and bug fixes and smaller new features as well.
All right, great. And another question with regard to Leap and the PCLaw Time Matters software. Does Leap link to PCLaw?
No, Leap and PCLaw don't link together. And one of the reasons for that is that Leap really is a bit different to a lot of the other practice management providers that you do find out there. In fact, it's one of the main reasons why the partnership exists, in that Leap really offers everything in a single package that's needed to run a law firm. By integrating two complex products, you're likely to end up with incorrect data in multiple places, and it really doesn't make sense to have an integration at that level. So our view is that we, as PCLaw Time Matters, aim to offer the best possible on-premise experience in the market, and Leap offers the best possible cloud experience in the market. And for that reason, we are spending our time on offering Leap a lot of assistance on the data migration front, so that we can spend our time focused on those firms that wish to remain on an on-premise product. Pete, did you want to add anything to that?
I think you've covered it well there. I think the point there, Chris, is our teams working together to actually provide the PCLaw Time Matters client base a very smooth transition across to Leap should they want to go cloud. I think that's the point to add, to reiterate there.
All right, great. And along that same topic, Peter, I think this one's for you. With PCLaw, being highly functional in accounting, we have a question here that says, how does Leap handle accounting?
Okay, that's a good one. We get asked that question a lot, actually, and I'm pleased someone asked the question. We have a tagline around in Leap: everything you need to run a small law firm. And that's exactly what Leap can do for you. That obviously means that we can do the time recording for you, we can handle the time recording for you, we can handle the billing for you, we can handle the master management for you, we can handle things like operating accounts, trust accounts, and making sure you get paid quickly. So we do handle the accounting side of things for your legal practice. But not only we do, going back to the point Chris was just making, not only do we actually run the accounting side of things within Leap, we actually make sure from a PCLaw Time Matters point of view that there's a very smooth integration of the accounting when you come across to Leap. But not only that, because of our working, because the two of us are working so closely, we've actually joined up with a lot of the PCLaw Time Matters CICs that actually allow us to, or will actually, many of the firms that are online today will actually already be working with and have an association with. So our CICs that will be out installing our software for you will actually be the ones that will doing the training that you've known and worked with over a number of years with PCLaw Time Matters. So the short answer is yes, absolutely. We handle everything from a legal accounting perspective for you within Leap, but also we get an excellent data migration, but also we're working with a plethora of CICs that have been working with PCLaw Time Matters for many years. I think that would be fair enough to say, Chris?
Definitely.
Yep.
All right, great. Now, I see another one here, that we get asked a lot as PCLaw Time Matters. Do I have to switch to Leap?
No, you absolutely don't have to switch to Leap. The purpose of the joint venture is to enable us to offer honest, accurate advice to our customer base. And one of the things about on-premise products that don't have a cloud partner is that they really do need to find ways to keep their customer base, and that may not necessarily be in the best interest of the customer. So for us, this partnership really is about offering choice and about offering a streamlined path using the best possible technology in the world to get there, should somebody wish to move to the cloud. We also understand that there are a lot of businesses out there that are very, very comfortable with an on-premise solution. They have IT consultants managing those systems, and they are likely to wish to stay with an on-premise solution. Our job is to make sure that they have the best possible on-premise solution available in the market. And that's, that is really the difference in strategy and business between Leap and PCLaw, is that one's cloud and one's on-premise. At the end of the day, we're both striving to offer the best possible solutions for those market segments, and our overriding desire is to provide our client base with the right advice that suits them, without a bias to on-premise or cloud. So no, nobody will be forced to move.
All right. And Peter, I have a question here. Can I keep my server and still use Leap?
Well, the short answer to that is yes. I don't think we've ever forced anybody to actually remove servers. But the point with Leap is you don't need servers. No more servers is one of our taglines we've used for many, many years. As we are a cloud solution, all your data is stored securely in the cloud. Tessa talked about security earlier, and we're very proud of our security levels that we have in our systems. But the point of going to the cloud is you don't need to have those servers. So which gives a number of advantages. One is obviously security. Two is cost. Sometimes it's very expensive to maintain servers on premise. And three is backup, because actually sometimes we hand the backup situation off to our IT providers and don't really ever try the backup solution to make sure it's working. So with not having a server, you take all those issues away. So you don't have to get rid of your server, but you don't need a server. Would be my answer.
Yeah, I just like to add a little bit to that. I was speaking with a firm in Florida just a week and a half ago, and this partnership has given us the ability to suggest to firms that maybe they don't need to spend a lot of money on a server. Whereas in the past, an on-premise recommendation would have been that they have to get a new server. So a server is an investment in technology, and it's not a cheap investment. So it does provide us the flexibility to recommend to clients, if they don't wish to purchase a new server specifically for running their practice management software, that there are alternatives out there in the market.
Yep. Great. So LawTap. LawTap was a topic that's been, is in the presentation. Tessa showed us a little bit about it with their web portal. We have a question here. I already use an online calendar. What are the benefits of using LawTap?
Yeah, I think the question that we need to ask ourselves when we're looking at the benefit of using LawTap is what does my online calendar do, and what does it integrate with? So LawTap is really designed specifically for law firms, and it's designed not just as a calendaring system, but it's also designed as a business development system. So it does allow things like direct appointment booking from an online portal that your clients can access. It provides a listing on the LawTap website, which can be found via a search, and it really does help promote the business and also provide it with additional tools for customer generation and business management. It also, because it is specifically designed for lawyers, it has deep integration with legal systems, including Time Matters and Leap. So that's really what I'd ask myself. I'd say, does my current calendar add to my business, or does it really just do what what a regular calendar does?
All right, great. So another one here, what is the best way to set the right expectations for my clients to ensure that billing and payments run smoothly?
I'll pick that one off, Chris, if that's okay with yourself, or please feel free to comment afterwards. But I think it's talking to your client base early and setting the expectations right early. You know, Amy and Tessa have both spoken about efficiencies when you're using time recording and etc. But really, what you need to do is making sure that your cost agreements are set up and your retainers are set up so the client knows what's happening. You're making sure you're billing efficiently and making sure that you're billing on a regular basis, so the client isn't surprised at the end of the matter with a great big bill. And as Tessa said, if you're not getting paid, then stop working, right? But setting those expectations from a client's perspective that they can, you're going to bill, the retainers are going to be in your cost agreements. You're going to bill on a regular basis. There won't be a great big surprise at the end of the case. Is going to be very helpful from any legal practice point of view.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the single most important opportunity for setting expectations is within your retainer, because ultimately overcharging or incorrect charging is what it forms the #1 cause of complaints, ethical complaints for lawyers. And the retainer really is the source of truth. And I think that it's very, very important to bill on a regular basis. It could be weekly, it could be bi-weekly, it could be monthly. I'd certainly never say it should be anything more than monthly. And I would say that that particular billing cycle should definitely be outlined in the retainer, because that is the source of the expectation. I think that it does go a little bit beyond just what it can do for your client expectations. I think that what it can do for your own business expectations is very important too. I think of it as the opportunity to get your business onto a predictable revenue model. And it means that when it comes to payday, you're not worrying about how you're going to pay your staff. You can actually predict that well into the future when you set up a really good collections and billing model. You know, predictable revenue allows you to do all sorts of things like create a cash flow forecast, and it means that you can always be comfortable as to the position of your business. And if anybody is interested, I'm sure Cameron can make available. There's a white paper I wrote several years back that provides a very basic cash flow forecast for lawyers to be able to forecast where their business will be at any point in time. And really the cornerstone of that is proper billing practices.
Yeah, that's some really great advice from both of you there. So it looks like we're quickly, it looks like we're already over time a little bit. Let's cover just a couple more here. I have one. How can our firm ensure a positive client intake process?
Well, I think that's an easy one from a lead perspective. Tessa's talked about the web portal that we've invested in, a lot of time and money in, and essentially that's giving you the ability to have a 24-hour conversation with your clients, from not only from an intake perspective, but also from a general matter management point of view or a case point of view. Being available 24/7 is key to our client, your client base. Not that you are available 24/7, it's just that actually the perception from the client needs to be that. So being able to have a web portal that not only allows you to book an appointment through LawTap, but also being able to view your documents through Law Connect, or being able to pay the client online, pay our bills online, and also actually view our documents and share our documents around while we're going through that client experience. But I think the intake process is part of that key, right? A lot of us ship around for services online nowadays. On a digital market, that's what everybody does. And if we don't have if you don't have a platform to have intake forms that would not only just send you an email to say that the client's interested and wants some of your services, but also actually ask them to fill out a bit of information, and actually then potentially even link into something like Leap that would actually then open up the matter for you and actually fill some of the information in for you. It's kind of that process where you need to, an end-to-end system to give that client experience a smooth flow. Would you agree, Chris?
Yeah, I do. I'd say that really, to summarize, I would say collect as much information before the initial client meeting as possible. Yeah, in some states, it's actually an ethical requirement to offer the first consultation free. And I think that when a client comes in for a first consultation, firstly, you want to avoid a first consultation if it's not going to be worth taking on the work. And with an hour first consultation free, knowing that you could have avoided having to spend an hour looking at something that you wouldn't have taken on anyway, can actually be really, really valuable at recapturing some of that billable time that's of all importance to law firms. So I'd say get as much information as possible beforehand. So firstly, you know whether it's a case worth taking on. But secondly, you can actually make that initial consultation very, very valuable. I know as a client, nothing annoys me more personally than when I go in to meet with somebody and we spend the first 45 minutes filling out a instruction form on the new matter. So I think collect as much information as possible beforehand.
Yeah, great.
All right, great. And we just hit the 10-minute mark, so I'm going to ask one more, and I think this is a good one to leave off with. Peter, I'm going to direct this question to you. How does
Sure.
Leap compare to other cloud software?
Well, of course, I'm going to say favourably, but essentially, I mentioned it before, right? Leap uses the tagline of everything you need to run a small law firm. We're one of the only providers in the market that actually can say that, because what we have is a product that goes end to end. You can literally pick up a laptop tomorrow and start running a law firm, from client intake forms through to opening up a matter, through to matter management, through to time recording, then the billing with the client, collaboration with the client online, and actually getting paid literally from an end-to-end process, all within the one price of Leap. So from me, there's lots of cloud providers out there, there's lots of cloud systems out there, but having a one-stop solution that actually allows you to get up and running very, very quickly and actually provide service to your clients as well is one of the key things from our point of view.
All right, that was great, guys. Thank you so much. So with that being said, so we're already 11 minutes over, so we're going to wrap it up. But I would like to thank all of our attendees for joining us today for this special webinar. Thank you once again to Amy and Tessa for the wonderful presentation, and Chris and Peter, obviously, for answering some of those questions that came in during the webinar. Want to let all the attendees know, if we didn't have a chance to answer your question today, we'll be sure to follow up with you very soon. And again, as a last reminder, I just want to make sure everybody understands that you will receive a recording of today's webinar tomorrow in the same inbox that you used to register for this webinar. So thank you all once again, and I hope you all have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Cameron. Thank you, Chris. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.